SRO.
SRO, so you have a range clear to launch.
And CDR.
CDR and fire crew is go.
Nozzle check of the SRBs. Firing chain is armed. Sound suppression water system armed. T-minus 10, 9.
We find ourselves in a small beachside community here on the east coast of Florida, the Space Coast. This is where innovation manifests in many forms and creativity is around every corner. The center of this artistic pulse beats in the city of Melbourne. With over 72 miles of coastline, the Space Coast is a perfect mix of surf culture intertwined with high-tech artistic innovation. Here we find incredible murals around every corner. This adds so much beauty to the concrete landscape, and more of these are popping up all of the time. You can really feel the creative energy here, and the culture is one of a kind. Spanning from downtown Melbourne over to the Eau Gallie Arts District, this is where creative expression of human consciousness is abundant and found running deep in the hearts of the people that live here. When you have this many creatives in one place, something magical will always emerge. The evidence of this artistic alchemy was revealed with an art show unlike any other we've seen, Robot Love. So we go and speak with the curators and founders to get a little bit of insight on what exactly is Robot Love.
My name is Gores. I'm a collage artist. I'm also a co-producer of Robot Love, and I've been around since the first one in 2009. If you think about it, the Eau Gallie Arts District, it's NASA's arts district. We live on the unique spot on the planet where you could go to the moon or go to the beach. Like, it's that intellect of the space program swirled up with surf culture and stickers on your board and sex wax and all that, culture of surf. And it's the place that put man on the moon, and so we've got a legacy of innovation to live up to. We know that art creates that environment where new ideas can grow and economies can boom, and we still have that small town vibe, small town Florida paradise thing, but yet with these cool companies, and so there's a lot to grow here. We love that it's still a relatively blank canvas, but it's ours, and ours to color and ours to make. But man, we've come a long way from art just being like decoration on the wall. So there's big stuff coming. The companies need it. The tech talent that needs to be attracted and retained for the Space Coast needs the buzz of creativity, and this arts district is up for that.
I'm Clifton Chandler, and I'm one of the founders of Robot Love. It's this art phenomenon in the east coast of Florida. Robot Love is actually, just the latest phase in just self-marketing. You can wait around and hope somebody does that for you, or you can bring your vision or your product directly to people and let them see for themselves. So if a gallery's not going to pick us up, we just make a gallery, and then frequently that then interests them. So it was a pragmatic decision.
My name is Christopher Maslow. I'm a multidisciplinary artist, and I have some work in the Robot Love exhibition. Being from the Space Coast, we weren't really we didn't have an established culture going on here. There's so many different people from all over the world that are all just kind of melting here together. So we didn't have one specific kind of influence, dictating our culture. So it presented this wonderful opportunity for us to create our own culture. If we wanted to see the arts in Melbourne and in Brevard, if we wanted to have art shows and things like that, we would have to throw them ourselves. And Robot Love was spawned out of that mentality. We collectively came together and created this concept that has now become like a huge cultural aspect of the Space Coast. This part of the world, this city here, has like a collection of some of the smartest minds in all the world. It's such a diverse melting pot of intelligence and technology, and you know, to be involved with all these innovative things happening with the space program and with Florida Tech and all these advances happening with groundswell. You know, it's just like, it's a really wonderful time to be an artist here on the Space Coast.
My name is Jenna Reed. I am the fictional character J-Bot. My role is to do digital advertising for the show, and I interview the artists, and I've interviewed the sponsors and supporters of the event.
So guys, sponsors, you made art happen, and then you gave a place for the public to come feel again, to express. That I can't tell you the smiles and the thank yous we had from people who got to feel again. Wasn't it great to get out in public, come into this exhibit, to feel it, to see it?
You know, in 2010, so at this point it's like 11 years ago, Gallup did research on why do people live where they live, and they interviewed people. They interviewed like 15,000 people, all ages 18 to 34, and they asked, why do you live where you live? And the overwhelming result of that research is a lot of things. There's a lot of reasons. Aesthetics, you know, the beach is nice here, but the number one reason people live where they live is opportunities to participate. And so when you think about that, and you think about the role of the arts, and you know, why have the arts, you know, why include it in the school budget, it's really about an opportunity to participate in something that's greater than yourself. As individual pieces, this art that standing alone isn't as valuable as a collective when it comes together. I see that in Derek's work too. You know, he works with scraps of paper. You think about, what is a scrap? Well, scraps are what you give the dog, right? Scraps of paper are things that you discard. But as a whole, coming together to create something new, wow, I don't have words for that. You know, that's a feeling, that's a vibe, that's robot love in a nutshell.
I've been in every Robot Love exhibition since its conception, and I've been involved in all different aspects, from being an artist to assisting in curation and painting murals and installations for the show. It's been a long, exciting road.
The first Robot Love was in 2009. We did it 2009, 2010, then we kind of splintered and disbanded, and chaos ensued and everybody went their own way, and we brought it back again 2015, 2017, and now 2021. The biggest thing that's changed is just, you know, we learned to harness our own skills, really. You know, the first one was just a 2.5 night show, but we were, you know, we pulled it together within a couple of weeks of 2 a.m. nights and that kind of stuff. So, you know, you grow up, you learn some things. From these shows, we learned what we love, and many of us have turned it into our, you know, our profession, what we do all the time. But this one, we were able to plan for like 9 months, have some big set pieces in mind, the big skate ramp and the dumpster fire and the TV wall, you know, that stuff was planned well ahead of time so we could get in there and install it. The approach that we've always taken is that we plan some, and then you be ready to adapt, and you love that. So some of the best ideas can come at the last minute, or even after the show opens. We have more ideas, and you try to see what you can play with. Another thing that's true about Robot Love is it is absolutely radically inclusive. Like, we're always looking. The thing that my friends and I all have in common is that we're always looking to expand the spider web of networks of people. So you always get new people who kind of raise their hand and say, what are you guys doing? I want to be part of that. And that's essential too. I don't just want to do the same show again. So there are some new players, new young players, you know, some people who weren't even adults back at the first one. So that's exciting, is to get the new blood running in there. You know, I think each Robot Love has had some surprises that kind of took lead. For me, you know, I knew what was coming with the visual art, so the first Robot Love really leaned, to me the most surprising element was the dance component. And when you talk to Marty, she can talk about that. That's her passion. the dance component of the living people who bridge the gap between the art on the wall and the audience in the space, like these living art that's only there for a moment, art that you can't buy, people moving, people energizing the room.
My name's Marty Mercado, and I'm one of the co-curators with Robot Love that focuses on performance and dance. And Robot Love to me means so much. We started back in 2009, and there was not a lot of dance in the community. And so I saw it as a perfect venue to really introduce some solid dance into Brevard County. So for me, it was a growth of performing arts here. And it was so much fun because we could take the theme of robot and them trying to figure out how humans interact and relate and love and care and create that into dance. It's the heartbeat of Brevard County, and I was happy to be part of it, especially pulling through the performance arts piece and bringing dance to it.
Why did we name it Robot Love? Well, because I was making this weird song. I make like really weird music, like the interlude tracks on like indie hip hop albums, the one that's like almost a skit. Well, I make albums of like just that. And one of those songs was like Robots Love Music. And it was, Robots Love Music. And so it was a natural, like, well, let's name the show that, Robot Love. It worked with the Space Coast. It worked with, our interest in technology and hijinks. And, I was doing a lot of like web development with some of the core guys at that time. And so it was fitting, but really it came from a song, a stupid song at that, but it was funny.
Some of my biggest inspirations in my art making, or my inspirations in art period, would have to be heavily influenced by graffiti art, my background in graffiti. My favorite painter is Salvador Dali, so I'm really drawn to painterly artists and surrealism. I'm really interested in abstract art, like Robert Rauschenberg. I take all these different elements of inspiration and I kind of blend them into my own style and approach. I'm also heavily influenced and inspired by Central Florida and like the Space Coast specifically. Having grown up here, the swamp is home to me, and I love everything about it. The humidity, the bugs, the water, all of it.
So the Space Coast has so many engineers. We have 9 out of 10 people are a degreed engineer in the Space Coast, which means 1 out of 10 people is an artist like you or me. So Robot Love is permission for these people who are the minority to come together and do their craft. What's interesting about the Space Coast is that with so much engineering talent, artists are always asked to quantify their value. Like, why are you at the table? Why are you here? And with Robot Love, it's a bunch of people creating their own fiction, their own story, tapping into that passion or calling when otherwise they wouldn't have permission to do that necessarily. So that's what makes it important in this area. And pushing the limits of what's possible is in our fabric, it's in our DNA as the Space Coast. So to push your boundaries of what you're comfortable with is Robot Love. That's why it's here.
Robot Love is, it's a collective. It's the, we humans in this unique spot on the planet, we live in a place that's all about technology and putting rockets up into space. So it's kind of like the humans playing in that world. This is our mental playground. We stir up all the creatives and see what we can conjure up with as many new people each time as possible.
The great thing about Robot Love is it was a space to be able to create safely. So there was no boundaries, there was no criticism. It was just a flat surface to do whatever you wanted to do in it. So we started out, and I knew at that point that this was something that could continue to grow. As we continued to grow, we added different layers to it, different art mediums, different performers, different bands. And now it is where it is today. I honestly feel like this is one of the best Robot Loves, even though it was during the pandemic. It's been one of the best Robot Loves we've ever had because we are now understanding that we have to make sure we integrate all kinds of art form, from beautiful paintings on the wall to great sculptures that sit on a pedestal, to performers walking around dressed like different creatures. I'm not even sure who all was there at Robot Love. Some of them scared me. But it was all creative to bringing dance into it, which will be closing Robot Love with a lot of dance. So it's just grown naturally. It's grown organically. And that's because I think that Clifton and Derek and I, we wanted it to grow organically. We wanted it to be the grassroots of art in Brevard County.
The concept Robot Love, to me, is this beautiful collective of all these different art forms and artists coming together in collaboration and creating something like truly unique and one of a kind, something that is like, you know, like the Art Basel of Melbourne, Florida.
The biggest inspirations in my art, that's like twofold. I really like people that accomplish something that, you know, is really difficult. I like to have no jealousy of their work because I'm overawed by the complexity of their craft. When I see that, that's when that inspires me. I'm like, well, this is awesome. That's what makes me go. But the other half of that is like I hang out with my friends. This is how we you know, enjoy life. So it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy of fun.
I tend to bring the visual art side. I have friends who bring in the dance side and the fashion side and maybe the sculpture or the music, etc. With this one, we've been able to bring in more and more technology. So we have somebody like Muntazer who really brought the coding and that side of things. So as we start to like learn each other's language, new possibilities come up that you couldn't have come up with yourself. And that's, I think, the potential thrill there is like, that's when you get to new territory, is when it's really collaborative.
So I have a smaller company called Muscle Memory, and it's in memory of my grandmother that I lost to Alzheimer's. Sorry. She was a big part of who I am in the dance world. So as Derek and I have been talking about making and bringing new things to the EGAT district, one of the things that I want to concentrate on is art therapy and art healing, from dance to painting to poetry. So one of my goals is to bring down into EGAT an art therapy program. It's still in the basic beginning works of how that will look. You know, the pandemic brought a lot of emotions up for people. There's been a lot of struggle. There's been a lot of self-analysis going on. It's kind of made the world stop for a minute. And I think that made everybody kind of go, you know what? Our emotional health is just as important as everything else in our lives. So that emotional health can be fine-tuned with art. And so my goal is to create a space somewhere down there, I'm not sure where that's going to be yet, but somewhere where we can get together and heal, whether it be through dancing, painting, poetry, whatever that is. So I'm excited about that, and I think it's going to be good for the community.
Sans commission, sans permission. You know, I need neither your permission nor your money, really. I'll do it anyway. And if you get going good, then you become a sweetheart of the people, because people love to experience art. You know, the only place there's a truly white wall is an insane asylum, you know? And even then they quilt it. You could argue that's a tactile experience.
To me, this Robot Love it really leans on technology and video. I think we've had our best presence yet in terms of our ads, you know, our video ads from what you did.
It's weird. Maybe he's making me breakfast.
Locked on.
Robot Love is like, you might think it's all about robot art, but in the end it's really about how human can you be, how unique and how quirky and how personal and passionate can your art be. So it definitely doesn't have to be robots. A little bit of robot stuff's fun, you know, wearing Mylar is fun, but at the end it becomes how human are you, what can you show?
So art is human, but the presentation, marketing, and creation of it is robotic.
I see for the future of my art going in a similar direction, but just like way bigger in every way. Bigger murals, bigger walls, bigger paintings, bigger gallery exhibitions, just exponential growth. We're right now about to complete our brand new studio gallery in downtown Melbourne. So now I'll have an outlet to the public directly again.
Yeah, I think the future of Robot Love will be whatever the people make it. So, you know, there's a kind of momentum, there's an energy behind what you see here, and whether or not we choose to carry that on is, you know, in the hands of the humans. So I think there is unlimited potential for where this could go. All I know is that I'll be a part of it.
What do we think the future of Robot Love is? I mean, it's a party. It's something fun to do. And it's something that we do for ourselves, which I kind of like better. I like to cook my own food and experiment with recipes. I mean, but I don't brew my own wine. You know, there's limits. So we'll have parties. We'll work with the people that value it and the institutions that value it as they become available. And it'll just form a social situation that's amorphous, thereby producing, you know, attention and interest, because if you knew exactly what it was going to be, you'd have already gone, you know? Yet there's really nothing better than window shopping and going to a big art show with lots of different artists expressing themselves differently with varied techniques. That is excellent. Whether you buy a painting or not, the experience of attending is really universal. And you know, anybody who disagrees with me about the superiority of window shopping, I challenge them to show me how empty their Netflix queue is, you know?
The sky's the limit with Robot Love, actually. It's been a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in the show, and we're starting to see the fruits of our labor. I personally feel like Robot Love is going to expand, and I think it will eventually maybe hit the road and go to some other cities. But it will always be home here in Brevard County, and I think from Robot Love we'll see some spin-offs of some programs, like an art therapy program, like maybe a performing arts space, like maybe an artist retreat or something like that. So Robot Love's not going away, but Robot Love will grow. The sky's the limit. We're already talking about future stuff, so we'll continue. And I have a son who's 18, and he one day would love to take over and be part of Robot Love. So as we all get older, we all have kids now. Clifton's little girl's the youngest, so maybe one day all of our kids will take on Robot Love and keep going. But Robot Love's a vessel. It's definitely a vessel moving things forward. The creative artists that come into this space whenever we come together is amazing. And if you haven't ever attended Robot Love, you don't understand what I'm talking about. You walk into the gallery when all of the art is up on the wall, or you stand in a room when there's a performance going on, the energy that is in that room is undescribable. And if you haven't felt it yet, you need to go and find it. And every time you hear Robot Love come into town, you need to make plans because it's life-changing.
For the future of Robot Love, I would like to see the concept shopped to other museums and packaged to where, you know, we can take it to any museum in the country. We already have the formula in place. We already have the key components. Everybody has their role within this show. And if we could do it here, we could do it anywhere.
The future looks good for Robot Love because this way of working is contagious. I think that Robot Love we'll find a more permanent home. We'll find a way to be in the air all the time in Eau Gallie, and perhaps traveling as well. We're getting more attention from farther away. There's possibility of a Robot Love happening in DC or even just across the state in Tampa, St. Pete. We're attracting attention, and I think people, well, now more than ever, people want to feel stuff. You want to feel things that are handmade and cared about. I also think with, this was we're in the last couple months of the Foosaner Art Museum. And even with a cloud hanging over the museum, we've had a very successful show. I think this shows people a newer model of how things can be done and be successful. So it's the way I like to work. It's the way my producers and curator friends and artist friends like to work. There's something to it. It's the only way we know how to work. We're going to keep going, so I promise you there will be more robots and more love.